Okay, we're making a little novelty sign for the fun of it. I just sketched out a little heart there for freehand. Just trying to make things that might sell at a farmer's market, that kind of thing. So not making stuff so much for myself, but things that might sell. Um, I'll try to show you kind of step by step as we go through here what we're going to do and what tools we use and the finished product, hopefully. Okay, we're going to be using the Black & Decker curve control variable speed jigsaw here. You can adjust the speed, that's your curve control. I just leave it on max speed, and that way if you have curves to cut, you can do it. It's supposed to be different speeds for straight cut and curve cut. Usually if I'm using the jigsaw, I'm going to be doing curve cuts. If I want to do straight cut, I'll use the skill saw or one of my other saws. So we're going to cut out this little heart shape. It's going to be the beginning of this little sign we're going to make, a little novelty thing we can try to sell at the farmer's market or online here. So I probably won't film doing the cut itself. You all have seen a jigsaw work. I just wanted to show you the saw I'm using. And if you have any questions about it, if there is anything you'd like to see, just leave a comment and we can always do a review. So we got our pieces all cut out for our sign. I just kind of penciled in what I want it to say, and that way I know it's big enough. So it's going to be friends welcome up in the heart here, and then family by appointment only. My aunt used to have that sign hanging on her door when I was a kid, and I thought it was hilarious. So I wanted to point out how fine of a cut you can do with that jigsaw. It works great. That is just about paper thin. It does a pretty nice cut, as you can see. It's not a finish product, obviously, and some of my edges are a little rough. Like, I'm not perfect on my shaping, but I can fix that up after with sanding. And the nice thing is I can choose whichever side of this I want to use. Like, I might use that side because I like the wood grain better, but we'll see. And then I only need to make one side good for the sign, but you have to decide that early on. One critique of this of this jigsaw that I came close to noticing or making a mistake on when I was using it here is right here. I had my hand up like this, guiding it, and my pinky kind of slipped in there, and I didn't get caught, but it was very close, and I'll show you what would have happened. As you can see, it would have just hammered my hand. I would have been at the hospital probably for that one. So one factor that Black & Decker should work on is adding an extra guard here, just so you don't slip your finger in there accidentally. So if you happen to use one of these, be very careful. Like any project, wear your safety glasses and your ear protection. I'm not just saying this. I actually have hurt myself more at home on projects than at work, because at work I'm required to wear all my PPE. PPE is personal protective equipment, and if you didn't know, safety glasses, goggles, ear protection, whatever you need. So be sure when you're at home you do the same thing, because it really sucks to have to miss work because you hurt yourself at home. So that's the safety lecture out of the way. So that shows the sign getting cut out. Now I'm going to curve the edges around, make things, clean them up, make them a little nicer. And then we'll move on to sanding. I'll show you how I'll clean this up. Okay, so I'm going to be using kind of an unconventional woodworking tool. My bench grinder. I don't have a router or anything, but it's not maybe approved, but it is a good way to do it. And I have to stop. I don't have my safety glasses. Okay, let's try this again. As I said, I'm going to use a bench grinder. Safety glasses on. Let's throw on our hearing protection. I'm deaf enough already. as you can see, it's kind of cleaned up those edges nicely. Because of the taper on my anvil, I do have to flip it over, but it kind of gives it a nice taper on the edge too. It looks a lot better than it did at the initial cut. Still more work to do. I have to get down in the corner cleaned out here. We'll show you how we'll do that in our next step here. But this is cleaned up a bit. Now I have to clean up the other pieces. One thing I'm trying to clean up is edges like this. They're a little rough where the saw came together. So I'll show you how quickly I can clean that up on the bench grinder here. Now those edges are nice and smooth. All I have to do is clean it up with a sander. Be a real quick, easy job. If you're wondering about the history of this bench grinder, I couldn't tell you. But it is Thor with ball bearings. It's a Chicago tool. So, yeah, it's I found it used. It's been a good tool for me so far, anyways. Haven't had any complaints. It's an older but a gooder. Keeps going. So my next step is some sanding. I'm using a rather unconventional method here. Taking my belt sander and putting it in the vise. This is it's upside down there, but it's a TMT. I bought it at the Home Hardware here in town. That is now closed down. So this tool has outlasted the store that sold it. It's a very cheap brand, but it seems to do the job fairly good. I would say it's a good at home use for item. I've had it for over 10 years. I can't remember when I bought it, but before I was married, and that was almost 10 years ago now. So you throw it in the vise, and then this one over on this side has the trigger lock. So you can lock it in, and then it'll stay on, and then you can use your belt sander a little more diversely. So there's my pieces all sanded down, the base sanded anyways. I use my Black & Decker orbital sander. Did a nice job. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some background paint on the heart. And I'm not sure. I think I'll just stain these and just paint the letters. I'll do some background paint and then I'll paint the letters on the heart first. What I'm going to do for that is I'm going to cover it in a red paint. I just have an exterior red that I'm going to use. I'm going to just put a base coat on, rub it really smooth, and then I'm going to sand some of that off. So I'm using it more as a stain than I am a paint actually. And then I will put my lettering on, and then I'm going to do an outer covering. I have some wood stain here. I'm going to use some Varathane, and we'll put that over the whole thing afterwards. And then the other thing will be, I will be drilling holes through these before I do that. Before I stain them, I'll drill the holes through, and then I can have them hanging as a sign.